Well, the Senate has asked the federal government to introduce food stamps program as a measure to cushion the effect of hunger and food crisis in the country. It also urged the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security to liaise with development partners and other relevant stakeholders. Food stamps is a supplemental nutrition assistance program, which will be a supplemental nutrition assistance program that provides food purchasing assistance for low and no income people to help them maintain adequate nutrition and health. The Senate added that the introduction of the program had become necessary with a view to working out practicable templates and implementable modalities for the actualization of the program. Arise News analyst Dayo Sobowale is here to discuss the Senate's proposal to alleviate hunger and how effective that could be given previous mismanagement of various social intervention schemes. Good afternoon, Mr. Sobowale. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, it's a pleasure being here as usual.
It's great to have you as always. Yeah. Now, of course, this proposal for food stamps is reminiscent of what we've seen in the States, in the United States, for instance. And, I'm just wondering if you deem this a step in the right direction for us to see the alleviation of hunger in the country at the moment.
It's a step in the right direction, except that there is some buck passing. Mm-hmm. The Senate is asking government to do it, but it should start in the Senate with legislation. If the example they are trying to borrow from, the American Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program, is what they are talking about. If you look at the history of it, it started with the Great Depression of the 30s, that when government had to issue stamps based on acts against hunger, acts against poverty, acts against student poverty, and they still continue, many of them till now. And in our own experience, we have just gone through COVID. We did so many emergency things during COVID. I distributed those channels of distribution should be resuscitated now and used. But you see, in Nigeria, we want to invent the wheel. You don't look at the past way we do things, and you don't make progress like that. If you look at the past, you learn from the past and correct your mistakes of the past and apply them to the present. You see, a senator is saying that, and they are calling on government. It is almost like abdication of responsibility, because government is busy now with the distribution of food, with the distribution of so many things. Many state governors, they are using so many channels. You cannot stop that. You can only add this to that. And I'm saying that in a system of checks and balances, separation of powers, the acts to do that will have to come from Parliament and ratified and signed by the government. So let them seize that initiative and not be making suggestions. Let them make the acts. Let them make the acts and pass it from House of Representatives to Senate, or from Senate to House of Representatives. Then eventually, the president can never veto such things, because they are in the public interest and they are needed urgently. So that is my take for now. Let the act start from the source, where it should, legislatively, and that is the Senate itself. Then they pass it to the president. But as of now, let us distribute things the way we have been doing them. And then let me add another thing. When they started it in the US, it was because food prices during the depression, people don't have money, and farmers have food. So there was surplus. So they needed a bridge, and that was how that act came in to be. They gave people cards and stamps to buy at grocery stores, but not to buy alcohol or cigarettes and things like that, and they monitor it. We can do it, but let it start from here. It should legitimately. Should be passing the separation of powers. The legislation is to make laws and the executives to act on those laws. Let's leave it at that for now.
All right, Mr. Sobowale, you've spoken about some of the interventions that we've seen taking place in the past, for example, during COVID and the way various palliatives were distributed during that time. Then, of course, that was followed by the controversy of hoarding that followed. And closer in time, just last week, we saw the distribution of discounted rice that was taking place in customs in Yaba. And again, some deaths, a stampede. We saw the controversy attached to that. Now, it's refreshing to see that the lawmakers are looking at ways to avoid these types of situations. However, do you think this is enough? Because just to play devil's advocate, a part of me feels like this might end up creating a new elite, so to speak, in the trading of these food stamps. Can we legitimately get them to the people who need them and be able to use them? Or are we creating an opportunity for another parallel economy?
Your fears are justified, and that's the human factor in everything. It's not a scientific situation. There are always new ways of doing things, and there are always smart people who are always looking for loopholes, and there are even worse than smart people who want to even steal from what they are expected to distribute. So there must be a good monitoring system. Okay, like the case of the rice you spoke about, distributed by customs. Okay, who could have remembered, who could have forgotten that customs has some seized rice all over the place? Just like we discovered sometime, there were some foodstuff stored in some places during COVID that people looted later. You see, there are evil-minded people. They are all over. But that is the work of the security forces and even society. Society, give information to people. I'm sure those who went and looted where they stored COVID things got information from somewhere. And custom knew all along that people are starving and they are seized rice. What do they want to do with it? This is not like cannabis or hemp or things that they needed to burn. So the Ministry of Agric, you get me, should liaise with so many other ministries, especially those that deal with human beings and social development, and places like customs, immigration, places where people seize property, especially where they have food, so that they can be brought in the open and distributed to the needy as quickly as possible. So it is, I'm not saying Nigerians are normally corrupt, but you see, people are always wanting to cut corners to get undue advantage over others. But then it is the duty of government to sustain whatever it puts on the ground and to deter and punish those who want to make its programs unsuccessful. That's the duty of government.
Okay, Mr. Sobowale. Now, two other challenges or potential challenges that have been highlighted are, number one, preventing price inflation. It's been stated that if food vendors know recipients have extra vouchers, they might choose to, inflate the price. Hence, capping items eligible for food stamps might be necessary. And the other point that was raised is determining the duration and exit strategy for this temporary aid program because of the potential dependency concerns. How do you think we can go around these two?
You see, all these things are temporary. And they are not for entertainment. The end product is to make the economy, stable. There should be macroeconomic stability so that this sort of thing does not happen again, or it happens less frequently. It's not a Father Christmas, it's temporary. All these things we are talking about is temporary so that society can return to normal. The only one you can manage is when it is health disaster, like COVID. COVID does not give notice when it will come or when it will go. But you see, availability, supply of food, we know when it will come to the market, Now, the fear you then express, in the US, at times, they give special voucher, food voucher, for perishable goods. You know, there are some goods, and you see, I still don't believe that we don't have food in this country, because when I move around markets, you can see the foods there. But the thing, like the experience in the US, is that people don't have money to buy them. But then, where do they, bananas, where will they keep them? Oranges, where will they keep them? Will they not rot? So there must be a way by which they dispose of them, even while they do not sell them to people. And that is where the voucher comes in. Maybe government should liaise with schools, Ministry of Education, schools, for students. Because if students eat well, they will give less trouble to their parents in terms of domestic stability. And where they have given, you see that nutrition, the word nutrition is important in that program. So let people eat a balanced diet that will make them healthy. Because they did research, they discovered that people they give these things to, some of them, in old age, they have less Alzheimer, this dementia, this forgetfulness. They have less of it. And the children fare better in school studies when they are well fed. So it is an ongoing thing. And I think we are all neck deep in it. So the Senate is welcome, but let it make the act to happen. Like this Oronsoye report that most of the excuses given for not being able to match or dismiss some institutions, because some of them are brought into being by act, legislative act, and you can't just remove them like that. There should be a similar act to match them and things like that. That's work for the legislation. Get me? They should liaise. See, the separation of powers does not mean that everybody should go his own way. That will liaise to make laws that will benefit the people.
Well, all right. I think very well said, very robustly analyzed as well. Thank you so much for your time today, Mr. Dayo Sobowale.